All right. Thanks for watching. If you're watching this right now live, or if you're going to catch it later on, this is kind of a spur of the moment thing that I wanted to put together today because we've been getting a lot of calls from people. And so, what I want to do is talk a little bit about Medicaid. It's been in the news lately. And yeah, I want to start with this. This is not intended to be a political video. I realize this is a hot topic, it's a hot issue right now. And I'm just going to try to approach it with facts. And I also want to start out by saying that I don't have any special insight into this topic right now. I am following what is happening, live like the rest of you are. So, what I'm going to talk about today are things that I have seen and read and news articles and directly for some congressional sources as well. And we'll just I want to walk through some of this stuff. So let me start with a quick why. Why am I talking about this right now? Well, I practice elder law, and Medicaid issues affect many of my clients. And we're getting calls, like I mentioned, we're getting calls from current clients and prospective clients who have concerns about what they're hearing, what they're seeing, and they're trying to sort through it all, just like we are. And it is a big deal to many people. About 60% of people who are in extended stays in nursing homes in this country have their stay covered by Medicaid. There's also Medicaid coverage for some home health care. Medicaid provides some funding for adult day programs, caregiver training, respite programs, and again, people who are trying to age in place at home. So the why is because, when people talk about changes to Medicaid, it makes a lot of people really concerned. So why is it in the news right now? It's in the news right now because the House introduced a budget resolution that would almost certainly require trimming Medicaid. If it were approved as is, would almost certainly require trimming Medicaid spending by up to $880 billion over the next 10 years. That is a big number, even over 10 years. So the Senate, this is the U.S. Senate and U.S. House. Okay, Medicaid is a federal program. It's managed by the states, but starts out, it's a federal program. So the Senate and the House have different committees that are responsible for Medicaid. And the instructions that the committees in the House and Senate have received are not the same. So the House instructions are different than the Senate instructions. The House committee has been instructed to reduce the deficit by $880 billion over the next 10 years. And the experts essentially believe that most of those cuts would be expected to come from Medicaid. The Senate committee has different instructions. Their instructions are they're actually allowed to increase the deficit by up to 1.5 trillion. If you don't consider some tax cuts, if you do consider the tax cuts, it would actually be by even more than that. So that's kind of how we got to where we are, and I think why a lot of people are concerned. So the other things that I think are important to know here, many elected officials say they're only interested in cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from Medicaid. But the reality is that investigations show that only about 5% of the overall Medicaid budget is the result of waste, fraud, and abuse. And so that only accounts for, I say only, it is still 6.5 billion a year, but 6.5 billion times 10 years does not get you to the 880 billion that they are suspecting to cut, or expecting to cut, or proposing to cut. To just keep up with demand, the experts really believe that Medicaid actually needs to expand between 4 and 6% a year. But with these proposed changes, that would really only allow Medicaid to expand around 3% a year. So needs to expand 4 to 6%. Proposed changes would really only allow it to expand about 3%. And again, with this being a federal program that's administered by the states, a funding deficit would lead the states to have really only a few options. Either they could raise taxes to fill the gap, or they could reduce or cut benefits or change the way that you qualify for the benefits. So as an elder law attorney, what my concerns are, it's a couple of different things. Obviously, there's nothing solid yet. And that's one of the concerns, is that we're all sort of left wondering what the next steps are. If there are cuts to benefits, I do think those would likely hit the non-nursing home care side of Medicaid first. The other things that concern me right now would be that the states could start closing some of the opportunities that allow, solidly middle-class people to be able to preserve some of their aspects or some of their assets, and still qualify for Medicaid. And if those opportunities are closed, that could lead to very significant financial impacts, again, primarily on people who I would say are solidly middle class, who are able to take advantage of some planning tools that we can help them with, that allow them to qualify for Medicaid sooner than they would otherwise. They don't have to spend everything down to their, have almost nothing left. And I also have some serious concerns about our rural medical systems and the disproportionate impact that any cuts to Medicaid would have, particularly on the rural communities. All of that being said, we don't know what's going to happen at this point. These are all just proposals, and I think there's still a long way to go until the budget is worked out and these issues are addressed and we have a sense of what the reality is. As you, I'm sure, are well aware, budget process in the federal government is messy, and we can think one thing's going to happen and things shift and something different happens. So there is a lot of uncertainty right now. My encouragement is not to panic or to have some kind of knee-jerk reaction right now, because again, we just don't really know what's coming. I think it's still important to plan. So if these are concerns, if long-term care concerns were already things that were on your mind, I think it's important to still go ahead with your planning. I also think it's important that if this matters to you, and if you have strong opinions about Medicaid or preserving Medicaid benefits, protecting our seniors who receive these benefits, then you should be reaching out to your U.S. representatives and senators to express your concern and your beliefs, because it is really important for them to know what the people who live in their districts think about any proposed changes. So that's where everything is at right now. Summing things up, we are following this with you. We don't have any special insight. What we know right now is there's a lot of different things that are being talked about. There are budget cuts being proposed at this point in time, and some of those budget cuts appear as though they would likely affect Medicaid. We don't know in which ways that would happen at this point, or if it even will happen. So my thoughts for you are, number one, don't panic. Number two, continue on with the planning that you were doing if you were already doing it. And if you have opinions on this, reach out to your elected officials, particularly U.S. senators and representatives, and discuss your concerns and your beliefs on this topic with them so that they know how the people in their district feel about this. As always, if you have questions about Medicaid planning, you can certainly reach out to us. You can give us a call, or you can visit our website and book a consultation with us. But just know we are monitoring this. We are trying to keep up on the changes as they happen. And I'm sure we'll probably have some more of these videos coming up as we start to know more about what's really going on. Take care. And again, don't hesitate to reach out if you have some questions or concerns about planning around long-term care.